But when we start talking about love, again, we're conditioned to think about love in the way the world thinks about love, because that's the water we're swimming in every day, right? It's the air that we're breathing, the culture that we live in. We are permeated by it. We're saturated by it. We're soaking in it, as the old palm olive ad used to say. Right? So when the world hears about love, they think permissiveness. Permission to do whatever you like, as long as it's loving. Love is love, right? So just let everybody do whatever they want. Because love is love. Love is permission. Love is permissiveness. Right? But love, according to Scripture, is different. Love entails boundaries. Anyone who is married understands this. Love entails boundaries. You don't get to do whatever you want. And for those of us who are married, you understand that. There are boundaries. There are lines you do not cross. Not for the sake of law or rules, but because of love. Because I love my wife, I treat her in a certain way. Because I love her, I respect her. I listen to her. I treat her with value, dignity, and worth. And I don't go sow my wild oats with anybody else. There are boundaries. There are limits. And those boundaries, those limits aren't set by rules. You will have heard me talk about this before and given this example, but I give it again because it's worth listening to. I am faithful to my wife not because we have a marriage contract, because it's codified in law and we signed a document. That's not what motivates my faithfulness to my wife. My love for her does that. And by my love for her, I live in relationship with her in a way that expresses and evidences the love I have for her. Imperfectly, okay, I get that. But that's what's motivating it. It's love. But because of the love, because of the desire to live in light of that love, the marriage contract is fulfilled, right? Not because there's a contract, not because a document was signed, not because there's a law in place. It doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. It motivates nothing. It's love that motivates the faithfulness. You see how that works? Those who love fulfill the law. When your life is motivated by love, you don't need to worry about law. You don't need to worry about the rules. Love God, love one another. Done. So there are boundaries to love. Love entails boundaries. But Paul goes on to say there in Romans chapter 12, he says, abhor what is evil, hold fast to that which is good. And so for him, love, let your love be genuine, is in no way contrary to abhorring that which is evil and holding fast to that which is good. See, there are boundaries. Love motivates. Love inspires a certain kind of life. Now, we've talked about marriage as an example of love versus law. But think about parenting. When you are raising children, you love those kids with a love that's inexpressible. You simply can't put into words the love that you feel for your children. It's impossible to do it. But by crikey, you better put some boundaries in place. Otherwise, your love for that child is going to result in a chaotic life, which will damage that child and damage everybody around them. There's got to be boundaries. There are always boundaries. There must be boundaries. Love entails boundaries. Jody and the kids are reading the book, The Rabbit-Proof Fence at the moment. Have any of you come across that? Rabbit-Proof Fence is a great film as well. I haven't read the book, I've seen the film. The Rabbit-Proof Fence. Rabbit-Proof Fence is a story about Australia's period of colonisation, and these young Aboriginal girls were removed from their family and they were taken and placed in a convent, if I remember correctly, and they were being trained in that convent to be good little white people. All right? These girls worked out that there's this thing called the rabbit-proof fence, which does what it says on the tin. Right? It's a fence that keeps rabbits out of the pastures. There you go. And it's this huge fence that spans the outback of Australia. And these girls came to understand that they were at a particular end of that fence, and their home was at the other end of the fence. And so what they did is they escaped the convent, and they followed the fence home. See, that fence was intended to be a boundary. It was a demarcation line to determine the behavior of the rabbits. But those kids saw it as something else, not a boundary to govern behavior, to keep certain things out and let certain things in. They saw it as a means to getting home. Follow? The boundaries are an expression of our love. And if we, as ones who are being submitted to those boundaries, subjected to those boundaries, if we follow the boundaries, they will lead us home. They will lead us to the love. We will come to understand the nature of love as we follow the boundaries, because it is in our best interest to follow them. And God chastises, God disciplines those he loves, like a good dad, the scripture says. So some of us balk when we hear this gospel of love, this gospel of grace, but then we experience boundaries within the church. And some people balk and they run a mile, and they thought, we thought we could do whatever we like. We didn't understand that there was some sort of boundaries. We didn't understand that. We thought we could just behave however we liked. And they run a mile because they're thinking of love in the way the world thinks of love. But love entails boundaries. There must be boundaries, otherwise it's not love. It is not loving to have no boundaries. You are destroying, not building. So I want to make that really clear for you all. This is not love as the world thinks of love. There are boundaries. Love, true love, proper love, appropriate love entails boundaries. And the boundaries are for our good and for our blessing, both individually and corporately as a people.